Due to the length of these posts and character count, the too long didn't read have been made if the first three posts. Original poster, a 23-year-old man with a large family of 7 siblings, shares his frustration with his sister Erin, who is getting married on the same day as their younger sister Nadia's high school graduation. Despite knowing the conflict, Erin insisted on keeping the wedding date and dismissively claimed that Nadia's graduation didn't matter. This behavior isn't new for Erin, who often centers herself in family events, and it has upset original poster Keat, especially since Nadia has eagerly anticipated her own graduation celebration. In response, original poster and his brother Leo have decided to skip the wedding, which has caused tension within the family. Original poster defends his decision, feeling that prioritizing Erin over Nadia sets a harmful precedent. His parents and other family members are upset, and he's considering pulling his son from the wedding as well. He is now asking if he's wrong for standing by his decision. Update 1. 2 days after the initial conflict, original poster updates that after a heated family confrontation, their stance on skipping Erin's wedding remained firm. Leo, original poster, and their older siblings stood up for their younger sister Nadia, explaining that Erin intentionally chose the wedding date to overlap with Nadia's high school graduation. Lydia, the eldest sibling, played a key role in confronting Erin and their parents, which led to their dad reprimanding Erin. After airing their grievances, Erin's fiancé George apologized for not knowing the date clash was intentional, while their mom's attempts to change their minds ultimately led to a decision to go no contact with her. However, the original poster's relationship with their father and grandmother has improved, and Nadia had a joyful graduation day. Despite the ongoing tension, the family is planning positive activities, including outings and celebrations, while the poster remains resolute in their decision to prioritize Nadia. Update 2. TLDR. 5 months after the initial family conflict, original poster shares how tensions have continued to rise, especially with their mother. After Erin and her husband returned from their honeymoon, their mom ramped up her attempts to reconcile, contacting each sibling and even showing up at their homes. Despite her efforts, the siblings remained resolute, with their dad attempting to repair relationships and apologizing for past neglect. He even took original poster fishing, an activity original poster had longed for, which became a turning point in their relationship. Meanwhile, the mom's refusal to acknowledge her wrongdoings led to her giving the siblings the silent treatment. While their dad eventually moved out, Erin, involved in pressuring their mom, failed to change the siblings' stance. As original poster prepares for their own wedding, they reflect on the ongoing family rift, noting that their mother and Erin have no place in the celebration. However, Nadia has found happiness in college, and the family dynamic, though strained, has shown signs of improvement in some areas. Update 3. So it's been about 7 months since my last update, and I thought one was well overdue. I actually intended on sitting down and writing one out a few months ago, but life got in the way. A lot has happened, most of it good, some of it not. I'm sure you can guess what or who the reason for the not good moments were. Mom was silent through Lydia's birthday in October, but made a huge song and dance for Erin's in November. None of us make it a habit to check her social media accounts, and honestly we'd have blocked her if it weren't for Lexi. But Leo sent a screenshot in the group chat about a post she'd made. The post essentially painted Erin as the perfect child, her precious angel, and said how she'd always be proud of her. She didn't even mention Lydia on her page at all during her birthday, but I can't say I'm surprised. Thanksgiving was different, but fun. We all drove out to our paternal grandparents' place a few hours away to spend it with them. Technically, it was supposed to be an in-law year, since Jade and I tend to switch who we spend it with, so that neither one of our families were being left out. But she suggested we switch it up this year so that I could be with my siblings on the first big holiday since the fallout. My in-laws are great people and have been really supportive throughout all of this, and I'm really grateful for them too. Mom didn't reach out to us on the day, but I could tell she was fuming. It didn't help that she was being asked questions after Lydia posted a Thanksgiving Day photo that didn't include her or Erin. In December, she started a group chat with all of us and Dad essentially telling us it was time to stop this petty drama and focus on family. But none of us are stupid. We all know she wanted to show off her picture-perfect family over Christmas. And how could she do that when all but 2 of her children can't stand to be near her? Erin was in the group but didn't speak up, which was odd for her, but none of us really thought much of it at the time. Dad said he'd swing by to see Lexi, but he had no interest in spending Christmas with her until she was ready to admit to the pain they'd caused us. A week later, my birthday also went ignored by her, but that was fine. It only proved that she had no intention of admitting she was the bad guy. She got more desperate as Christmas drew closer. The messages and phone calls started up again, but I could ignore those for the most part. What I couldn't ignore was coming home from work to find her on my doorstep. She told me she'd been waiting for ages, like I was expecting her visit and had done it intentionally, which honestly I probably would have given the state of our relationship. I'm just grateful my family wasn't home. Jade was on her way back from work herself, and our son with her parents. I didn't want to invite her inside, but honestly, given how desperate she looked, I also didn't want to deal with her where my neighbors could see. This woman told me that Christmas was about family and forgiveness. She told me I was taking it too far by keeping her grandson away from her, and how confused he must be without her. She said it like I was using my son to punish her. I told her it was better this way because we all knew what had happened if Erin had a child someday. My son would be pushed to the side like the rest of us were, and I didn't want that for him. She said I was being ridiculous and once again used that line, "I love you all equally." I asked her to leave because nothing was changing my stance and I wasn't going to be spending Christmas with her. She got angry, she started yelling, and while I want to say I kept my composure, I didn't. I started yelling too. The more I yelled, the more worked up I got, to the point that I started shedding tears. Reddit, this was years of hurt rushing to the surface. I don't think I will ever understand how she can claim to love us all equally, but tell her crying son to stop being so dramatic. She left only when Jade came back and saw the state I was in. Jade's little but fierce and would do anything for me and my son. And I swear my mom left terrified of her that day. The social media posts picked up again. She played victim, shared posts about children not respecting the sacrifices mothers make for them and stuff like that. She posted how we didn't appreciate all that she'd done for us, but we all ignored it. We did our own Christmas. Jade, our son, and I visited the in-laws on Christmas morning, watched our son and nieces open their presents there, and then went over to Lydia's house. She offered to host us all this year. Dad took his place in the kitchen, joined by his assistant chefs Josh and Lydia's husband. We didn't see our mom or Erin until January. Lexi turned 5, so there was a party, and we weren't about to punish our sister for the actions of the demon that birthed us. So we went. There were some questions, but people didn't push when it was obvious that none of us wanted to get into it. Mom acted like everything was fine, but Erin stayed away from us. At the end of the party, as we were helping clean up, Mom said it was good that we were finally putting things behind us. Lydia told her the only thing we were putting behind us was her. That started her off again, but she quickly realized she was outnumbered and headed inside. That was when Erin approached us with her husband. Honestly, I was expecting her to tell us to go easy on our mom or something, but instead she apologized. She said she'd been doing a lot of thinking since all of this started, and she realized that treated us badly her whole life. And part of that was influenced by the way our parents treated her. She told us she didn't expect us to forgive her, but that she just wanted to tell us that she was sorry. We left a little while later. There was silence at the end of January and in February for Leo and Nadia's birthdays, but we were expecting that. Our days never did matter to her after all. I got married in April without my mom present. It was hands down one of the best days of my life, second only to the birth of my son. Jade and I were surrounded by the people we cared about most and who cared about us in return. I had both of my brothers as my best men. Nadia and Lydia were bridesmaids too. It was better than anything I could have imagined. Honestly, I'm still blown away by the fact I now get to call Jade my wife. It's been amazing, but I'm sure you're all wondering how my mother handled this, and I can tell you plainly that she did not handle it well. Truthfully, when we sent out invitations, part of me hoped that the news just wouldn't get back to her. I hoped it'd go smoothly enough that I wouldn't actually have to talk to her about this decision, but of course that'd be too easy. She showed up a few days later, banging on my door, demanding I talk to her. I went out. I didn't let her in, despite knowing that the neighbors could see us, and that was solely because I didn't want her inside my home where my son was. I didn't want her scaring him like she was undoubtedly doing. She demanded to know what I was playing at, how I could be so cruel, how I could exclude her from such a special day. I told her plainly that my wedding was a day for me to celebrate with my close loved ones, and she wasn't someone I considered close or a loved one anymore. She'd made her bed, she had to lie in it. Part of me worried that she'd turn up at my wedding. She came by the house a few more times but stopped when I threatened to call the cops. I didn't do it sooner because I guess I'm soft at heart and didn't want to see my mom in any trouble, but every time she showed up to spew some bullshit about me being a terrible son for doing this to her, it drained me. There were social media posts, of course. I had relatives reaching out to me to tell me I should invite her, what kind of son am I, etc. Yeah, but they stopped when I told them I'd take back their invites, too. No one mentioned her at the wedding, and she didn't try showing up. She did, however, try to prevent Lexi from being a flower girl, like I promised. But Dad quickly nipped that in the bud, which takes me to the next point. My parents are officially over. Dad sent her divorce papers sometime in February, and I don't think he's looking back at all. This is something that also shocks me because this time last year he was much the same as she was. He was someone who cared more about Erin than any of us. Someone who brushed off our achievements if they somehow interfered with hers. And now he was an advocate for us. Every time Mom posted something on social media belittling us, he responded with a post uplifting us. I never imagined having such a good relationship with my dad, but here we are. We helped him move into his own place back in March. He's a new man, honestly. He's worked out a 50-50 custody agreement for Lexi because, as much as he'd be happy to have full custody, he wants to believe that she can change like he did. He has said, however, that if he catches even the slightest hint of Lexi being mistreated like we were, he'd be filing for it. In the case of my siblings, life has been going good for them, too. Leo got a raise at work and has adopted a dog that my son is obsessed with, to the point that I think we may need to get a dog ourselves, haha. Josh and his partner are going strong. He fits right into our family, and I couldn't be happier for Josh. He's found someone that really cares about him, and I can tell he's in love. Maybe there will be wedding bells there soon. Lexi. Well, Lexi's 5, so there's not really much going on in her life. I think she recently made my dad join her tea party. Quick edit to add. Lexi is obviously aware that things have changed. She's naturally confused about it all. Things changed so much in the space of a year, and I can't imagine what it was like for her living with our parents when Mom was angry all of the time. We've let her know that we'll always be there for her, and that we're safe spaces if she needs to talk about her feelings or if she has any questions to ask. We don't want this affecting her more than it already has. Josh is the one who's made headway on that. He works in childcare and has experience in things like this. Dad is thinking about setting up therapy for her. But I'm sure you're all wondering about Nadia and Erin. Nadia's great. She's honestly thriving. I think being away from our mom, Erin, and the pressures at home has really helped her find herself as a person. She's made new friends, excelling in class, and she's just an overall happier person, which is all I care about. She's happy, I'm happy. She's been invited to move in with my dad, now that he has his own place and enough room for her and Lexi, but she hasn't decided on an answer yet. She's more than welcome to stay here if she wants, but I know that she also wants to be closer with our dad. I'll support her no matter what, and I've told her that she can try it with Dad if she wants, and she can come back if it's too weird for her. Erin is another story. We are no longer NC with her, but we are LC. After her apology at Lexi's party, Leo reached out to see if it was genuine. All of us were pretty stuck on what to do, to be honest. Erin was never someone to bow her head and apologize, but how could we know if it was genuine and not a ploy to get us to forgive our mom or something? Erin asked to speak with us in person when Leo reached out to her, and we agreed because we were curious to see how it'd go. We also agreed that if she tried anything, we would be leaving immediately and would block her again. The meeting happened in mid-January between Lexi and Leo's birthdays. We met at her place. Erin looked like a nervous wreck, like she hadn't slept all night. And honestly, it was really weird because she's normally so put together. Like even when she was throwing tantrums, she looked better than this. We sat down and she started off by apologizing to us again. She said that she was needlessly cruel and unfair to us, especially Nadia, and even apologized for trying to ruin her graduation. She said when we all backed out of our wedding, she was confused and hurt because none of us had said no to her before. She thought we were closer than that, but realized now that it was one-sided. She thought we were close, and we just wanted to be as far away from her as possible. We asked our questions, and she answered every one. Why did you think we were close? Because she'd been acting this way since childhood, partially encouraged by our parents' treatment of us versus her, and assumed that since none of us said anything about it, we were fine with it. Did you ever feel sorry? She didn't before this whole fiasco. It was normal for her to be the center of attention. Everything was always about her, and she was trying to unlearn that. Why now? It came down to her husband. He'd tried talking to her a few times about her treatment of us, but she never saw an issue with it since. Well, we never made it an issue before. He didn't like that response, but he loved her, and she was a lot kinder outside of our family unit. So he hoped that if he kept talking to her about it, she'd eventually stop. They fought when she announced their engagement on Lydia's anniversary, and they fought again when she booked their party on Nadia's birthday. He couldn't understand how she could be so cruel to her family, and she told him that he didn't understand our family dynamic and that we were cool with it. The stuff with Nadia's graduation damn near ruined their relationship, and I don't know how she convinced him to stay with her, because George admitted he was very close to walking out the door. She said she was on our mom's side for a while because she really did think we were just acting out. We'd never been like this before, so why were we like this now? She didn't get why we were ignoring her, why we'd suddenly cut her off, and admittedly had a breakdown over it. George told her we'd likely been carrying that hurt and bitterness with us for years. She said that she knew she was a brat, but didn't realize how bad she really was until George and our dad laid it all out for her. That's why she told Mom to leave us be, so that we could have peace from it all, and it turns out Dad wasn't the only one bearing the brunt of Mom's anger. She was constantly blasting Erin's phone, turning up at her place, dragging our names through the mud. It got worse when Dad moved out, and suddenly Erin was all she had in the world. Mom called us awful names that Erin, thankfully, didn't repeat. Mom told Erin that she was all she had now. George vouched for how bad our mom was, said he'd come home from work often to find Erin staring at a ringing phone. She didn't want to answer, but knew if she didn't eventually, then Mom would turn up at her house. I know Erin was awful to us ever since she was born, but it really hurt seeing her like this. I think she herself was a victim of our mom's behavior, albeit in a drastically different way. She said she wanted to reach out to us sooner, but knew we probably didn't want to speak to her. She just couldn't help herself when she saw us at Lexi's party and needed to apologize. We parted ways conflicted. One on hand, Erin had always been selfish. She'd been manipulative and downright mean. She always found a way to overshadow us at every turn, at every achievement. Nadia's graduation was proof of that. On the other hand, she looked tired. She looked worn and she looked guilty, and I didn't want to believe that was an act put on for the sake of getting us to forgive her and then our mother. None of us were sure how to proceed, but then Jade suggested that we invite her to the wedding. Or rather, we invite her to the reception after everyone's eaten. We had a few friends coming at that time too who couldn't attend the wedding itself due to inescapable engagements. That way, if Erin did try to bring our mom, security would catch it, and we'd know for certain whether or not Erin had turned a new leaf. Read it, Erin attended the reception. She didn't bring our mom, didn't even mention her. She and George arrived, and Erin cried as she congratulated me. She told Jade she looked beautiful and hugged my son. At some point, she took Nadia aside, and when they came back, they were both a little teary-eyed. Nadia later told me that Erin wanted to apologize to her properly, one-to-one, and didn't know if she'd get another opportunity to do so. George thanked me for giving Erin a chance. He told me that she really could be a warm, kind-hearted person. I told him I hope to meet that version of her someday. And I mean it. If Erin is truly as warm and kind and wonderful as George believes her to be, then I want nothing more than to meet that version of my sister. Now, you may be wondering, you forgot to mention Lydia when talking about your siblings. That was on purpose. You see, it's a good thing Dad moved out of her spare room. She's going to need that space in a few months, and she's not the only one. I knew Lydia was pregnant because she sat both me and Jade down to tell us she was pregnant, and worried about her bridesmaid dress, even offered to step down if it was a problem. We, of course, told her not to be ridiculous and that we'd cover the cost of any alterations needed. In the lead-up to the wedding, Jade told me that she planned on having Lydia make an announcement during the speeches. I foolishly assumed that Lydia was going to announce her pregnancy to our extended family, and while I was a little hesitant, I agreed since Jade wanted this, and well, at least she'd gotten permission, unlike someone would have. Reddit, Lydia made a speech about pregnancy and how she couldn't wait to be a mom, and how she was grateful to be sharing at least part of her pregnancy journey with Jade. Reddit, this was how I found out my wife was expecting our second child. Again, I wish I could say I maintained my composure, but I didn't. I cried. I was so overwhelmed with happiness that I couldn't help myself, and I'm sure my friends will forever make fun of me for it. It felt like all the crap we'd been through this past year was worth it all for that moment. To have my family rally around me in an event that I'm sure would somehow have been made about Erin and her wedding if my mom had been present. I haven't spoken much about how this past year has made me feel. Truthfully, I have felt like crap for most of it. I felt like curling up and disappearing. I felt rotten and useless simply because my mother told me I was. I felt sometimes like I couldn't show how I was feeling because Nadia was here, and I didn't want her to blame herself any more than she did. I'm in therapy now, and I'm not the only one, and I'm healing. Right now, I'm happy. I'm so unfathomably happy that I can barely understand it. I'm happier than I've ever been, and I know my siblings will say the same. While our mom will probably say that our family has fallen apart, that's not true. Hers has. The family that she made has fallen apart, but ours has grown stronger. It has grown so unbelievably strong. We were a united front before, but it's like now we've upgraded our defenses. We're coming out of this with stronger relationships with each other, a real relationship with our dad, and 2 new family members on the way. This is what our mom is missing out on, and it's all her own fault. Maybe I'll update you again in the future. I'm not sure if our mom knows yet about Lydia and Jade's pregnancies, but the announcement is out there. We do have her blocked on social media, though, so maybe no one's told her the good news. Erin hasn't, at least. So if anything happens on that front, I'll let you know, but for now, I'm happy with where my life is. Thank you all for your support, again, and I hope you have an amazing day. New update, 9 months after. So it's been nearly a year, and as expected, a lot has happened. I was thinking about leaving this another 2 months to hit the 1-year mark, but I don't trust myself not to forget. Mom found out about Lydia and Jade's pregnancies shortly after my last update, which went about as well as you could expect. Lydia and I became the targets of her rage, as well as our partners. We were the worst people in existence. She turned up on my doorstep and screamed through our Ring camera that she is ashamed of how I turned out. I'm waiting for the day her words don't hurt me so much, but she is my mom, and I think there'll always be a part of me and my siblings that will want her to love us. Honestly, I think she made 17 Facebook posts a minute, each one painting us as villains for denying her her rights as a grandmother. She had our aunts call us and tell us we were being ungrateful. One of them managed to catch Jade as she was coming home from work one day and didn't like it when Jade told her where to stick it. I have never cut contact with someone so fast. Mom had to be escorted off Lydia's property by police at one point, too. We wanted to ride it out, but when we spoke about it as a group, Lydia and I decided it was for the best we pursued restraining orders against her. I couldn't risk the safety of my family anymore. Thankfully, they were granted, and she has thankfully stuck by it. The 4 of us haven't seen or heard from her since, but the others weren't so lucky. In July, Erin actually cut Mom off. She blamed everyone but Erin for it. It was Lydia's fault. And then it was mine. And then it was Nadia's. It was Dad's and Leo's and Josh's. Every one of us was an enemy. Every one of us but Erin. I hate that I wasn't surprised. I hate that I was used to the blame. I talk a lot about how happy we are now, but before happy we were sad and angry and hurt. I felt like dying, and Josh nearly did. Parents aren't supposed to make you feel that way. I hope to God my kids never feel like this because of me. I both hate my father, and I love him dearly. He's trying, he's better, but he was once just like our mom. Dad applied for full custody of Lexi, too. I think we've all realized that Mom isn't going to change, and the best thing to do for Lexi is to prevent her from turning out like the rest of us. She is so young, and I cannot imagine her living through the things that we did, through possibly worse when we have already escaped. Currently, the fight is still ongoing. Mom doesn't want to give Lexi up, but because of her very public issues with the rest of us, and the restraining orders, Mom only gets to have her on the weekends. Dad still isn't satisfied. Lexi started coming home from her weekends with Mom saying she doesn't want to go back, so Dad's pushing harder to cut Mom from the occasion completely. Erin has integrated further into our circle. This Erin is a lot nicer than the one I grew up with. I tell her a story and she doesn't roll her eyes at me, doesn't tell me that nobody cares what I have to say. She isn't perfect by a long shot, but she's trying. We can tell her she's done something wrong, and she'll apologize. She is in therapy. We're also on the list for family therapy with the 6 of us and Dad. We're hoping it'll help us move on more. We're hoping it'll let us heal. Mom may be a lost cause, but Dad and Erin aren't. And honestly, that's more than I ever could have even hoped for 2 years ago. Nadia absolutely crushed her first year of college, and she's crushing her second too. She took Dad's offer to move in with him, though she knows that she's always got a place with me too. She's a lot better at expressing herself now, so she doesn't let Dad get away with anything. Nadia and Erin actually talk now. They spent over a decade under one roof, but they never really talked. Erin thought Nadia was beneath her, and Nadia was too afraid to anger Erin. Now they talk and bicker like sisters, like they should have been doing all along. Erin arranged for the 2 of them and Lydia to have a girls' day to celebrate Nadia's successful first year in college. This is the sister we deserved, and we are the siblings Erin deserved in return. We don't shrink beneath her anymore. We're equals for once in our lives. Erin is also flourishing in her new role as an aunt to all 3 members of the next generation. That's right, my son is officially no longer the only grandchild. Lydia gave birth to her daughter in September. She's got lungs like no one else and the strength of an elephant. But she's cute as hell. Jade gave birth to our second son in November. He's quieter than our eldest was, and for a while he barely slept. Both Lydia and Jade are doing great, though. They're doing amazing. But I knew they would. Right now, I am happy and I am content, and my mom cannot touch this. This isn't for her to corrupt. She will never know these beautiful, wonderful children, and she will never know the versions of us that follow. I hope this will be the last update. I hope this peace will persist. Thank you all for your endless support. You have no idea how heavy these last 2 years have been, how helpful your words really were to us.